Good afternoon, sports fans. My name is Addison Willman, and you are listening to the RPOpinions podcast. And today, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. Now, as you can see, I'm not on my usual format that I usually have, where it's just a bigger face cam with my logo behind it and everything like that. I'm actually going to be doing a mock draft live for you guys on the NFL Draft Network. If you've never used this website before, it's a really cool mock draft machine. Unfortunately, you can't trade unless you get the premium membership, but it's fine. We're not going to be doing trades in this mock draft anyway. It's just going to be the first round. I'm wearing the same clothes that I was in my last podcast. That's because I'm pre-recording this, full disclosure, because I'm not really going to have time to next week because I'm getting a surgery done. I'm getting a tumor removed from my face. But y'all aren't here to hear about my gross tumor. You're here to see a mock draft. So let's go ahead and jump into it. First pick, no discussion required, Trevor Lawrence. Best quarterback in the draft. Maybe the best quarterback we've seen in a while. The Jaguars absolutely need one. It's clear that Gardner Minshew will likely never be anything more than a top 20-ish guy. He's really limited by his athleticism, or lack thereof. Trevor Lawrence, on the other hand, is not limited by athleticism. He's got a cannon of an arm. He's great with his legs. He's 6'6". He's the prototypical perfect wonder boy quarterback. And anybody who has claimed to watch his film and don't think he's QB1, well, Anyway, we're going to go ahead and move on to pick number 2 here with the Jets. Now, this is a more interesting one. Do the Jets decide to stick with Sam Darnold? I really don't think so. I think it is a quarterback spot here. For some people, it's going to be Justin Fields. For some people, it's going to be Trey Lance. And other people, it can be Zach Wilson. For me, Zach Wilson is currently my QB2. So I'm going to go ahead and give them to Zach Wilson here. He has the upside. Assuming that the Jets can get a quarterback coach or an offensive coordinator and a coach that can really mold this kid. I mean, he's got all the talent. He makes all the throws. You really just need somebody that can help him harness that potential and live up to it. So number 3 here, we have the Miami Dolphins. This is an interesting one. They're definitely not giving up on Tua after 1 year. PFF made that argument, and it's real out there. I don't think they're going to take a wide receiver here at number 3. I'm also a tad bit lower on Penei Sewell than most other people. And that's not to say he isn't a blue chip player. It's just he's not the number 2 player on my board or even the number 1 player on my board. He's like number 6. So he's still probably going to go top 5 just because of how there's such a lack of talent at the tackle position in the NFL. So getting somebody like Penei Sewell, absolutely worth a top 3 pick. Going to go ahead and give him to the Dolphins here. At number 4, we have the Atlanta Falcons. I know a lot of people are going to want Justin Fields in this position, but I'm just not sure that Justin Fields is worth a top 5 pick. Quarterbacks fall every year further than people expect, and I think Justin Fields is not going to go here in the top 5. I think this is a better spot for somebody like Kwity Paye. I'm going to go with Kwity Paye. Obviously, the Falcons really love their really athletic edge rushers. Kwity Paye adds a bit of strength, a bit of physicality that this defense has been missing. And obviously, they're going to need to focus on some offensive line pieces and stuff like that, but everything else on that offense is pretty much fine. Matt Ryan is a good, not great quarterback. Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, obviously great players. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Falcons take a 3rd receiver, maybe later in the draft, but not right here. I'm going to give them a good, solid edge rusher here in Kwity Paye. Number 5, we have the Bengals. Now, we all know what happened to Joe Burrow. man, his left guard literally threw a defensive tackle into Joe Burrow's leg, which, of course, gave him a season-ending injury. They need offensive line bad. Like, bad, bad. I think if Panay Sewell goes at 3, pick 5 is a prime spot for somebody like maybe the Panthers, maybe the Cowboys even, maybe the 49ers to trade up and get a quarterback. But since we're not doing trades here, I think cornerback makes a lot of sense. I'm going to go ahead and give them Patrick Surtain here. Patrick Surtain, absolute lockdown corner at Alabama. He has been phenomenal for that team. A much better prospect than Trayvon Diggs was last year. And Trayvon Diggs has already turned into a pretty solid number 2 corner for the Cowboys. So Patrick Surtain here, he's going to be their number 1 most likely. Number 5, the Philadelphia Eagles, who tanked on live TV last night as of me recording this. I'm still salty about it. I'm a Giants fan. But that being said, objectively, the Eagles have one of the worst wide receiver cores in the entire NFL. I mean, watching them last night it made me really appreciate guys like Kenny Stills or Sterling Shepard, guys that are just, not elite by any means, but like just consistent. The Eagles don't have anybody like that, and the one guy that did kind of seem like he would fill that role, Travis Fulgham, they cut his snaps in favor of an aging wide receiver out of his prime, and Alshon Jeffrey. But we're going to give the Eagles a true number 1 guy here, Jamar Chase. I think Jamar Chase is going to be used a lot like, his name is escaping me, Michael Thomas, the Saints' number 1 wide receiver. I think Jamar Chase, he kind of fits that profile. Of course, they're pretty different receivers. They don't play exactly the same, but I think that's the way he'll be used there in Philadelphia. He's going to be a chain mover and a guy who can get a lot of yards after catch. Number 7 here, the Detroit Lions. They were a pretty big disappointment this year. I think this could also be another wide receiver spot, but with Jamar Chase going, who is, in my opinion, the clear-cut number 1 in this draft, I think I'm going to give them Micah Parsons, just a true difference maker there on defense. Number 8, Carolina Panthers. They're probably pretty sad that Micah Parsons just went, but it's fine. They honestly had a bit better of a season than I expected. I really like Teddy Bridgewater. Matt Rule was a really good coach. Joe Brady has done a magnificent job orchestrating that offense. It really just comes down to the defense. I know their rookie safety has been really good, but outside of him, there have been some struggles. So I think they either go offensive line or defense here, but there's nobody I love here at the top of this board. This could be a spot for Greg Rousseau. It'd be nice to have somebody across from Brian Burns, who's emerged as a really solid pass rusher. But I think this is the time that Justin Fields probably gets taken. So we have 3 quarterbacks here going in the top 10, at least. Justin Fields, solid prospect. I'm always scared of Ohio State quarterbacks, but they always say scout the player, not the helmet, and that's what I'm trying to do. And he looked really, really good in the first playoff game against Clemson. I believe he threw 6 touchdowns. So Justin Fields here, I think, can be somebody that sits behind Teddy Bridgewater, another pretty similar player, and learn from him, develop, and then take over in a year or 2. Here at number 9, the Denver Broncos. I think there's no way they take a quarterback here at this point. I think they run it back with Drew Lock, with how much they've surrounded him with. I think this could be a solid spot for Caleb Farley. I'm not as big on Caleb Farley as other people. In fact, I'm pretty sure I have J.C. Horn ranked above him. I'm a really, really big J.C. Horn fan. And I think closer to draft time, you're going to hear this guy getting top 15 to hype. But do I think he'll go at pick number 9? Probably not. They could get an edge rusher here as the heir apparent to Von Miller, somebody like Greg Rousseau, who's another really insane athlete, somebody who can learn a lot from Von Miller. Actually, I think that makes a lot of sense. But let's look at linebacker here. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I really like him a lot, but I think I'm going to go with Greg Rousseau. Let the rich get richer on that defensive line. Number 10, we have the Dallas Cowboys. As of this time, I'm assuming that they are not going to re-sign Dak Prescott. I know that's going to be a highly debated topic this offseason. Are they or are they not going to give Dak a big contract? I think they should. I mean, Dak Prescott easily carried the Cowboys and their putrid defense for the first few games of the season. Dak Prescott is a great quarterback, probably top 10 when he's healthy. But if they don't re-sign him, I think they have to go Trey Lance. I think they could be a prime spot to trade for a quarterback too. Maybe a Sam Darnold or something like that. But yeah, if Dak Prescott's not going to be there, get Dak Prescott 2.0, Trey Lance. Not that they're not exactly the same, but Trey Lance does remind me a bit of Dak Prescott. And number 11 here, we have the New York Giants, my favorite team. So, of course, this is going to be very biased picks. If there are no notable, really big edge rushers, and by that I mean Greg Rousseau and Kwity Paye, and Kwity Paye doesn't really fit the scheme anyway, but if neither one of those are there, I think the pick here is probably Devontae Smith. The Giants really need like a number 1 guy that can win contested catch scenarios and can also separate at a high level. They just really don't have that. Nobody can separate. So Devontae Smith would be a really, really solid pickup here for the Giants. I'd be very happy. Number 12 here, we have the San Francisco 49ers. I think this is probably a Caleb Farley spot. Caleb Farley, he played a lot of off-man and zone. I think that can fit the 49ers scheme pretty well. So, yeah, I think I just sold myself and Caleb Farley here to the 49ers, assuming there's not a quarterback that falls to them. Number 13, the Los Angeles Chargers. And it looks like Christian Darrisaw kind of fell into their lap here. I think if this is the way the board lines up, are there any other tackles that I like? I haven't done a ton of research on Rashawn Slater or Christian Darrisaw for that matter, really. I haven't done a deep dive into their tape. I've watched a little bit. But what I've seen, Christian Darrisaw definitely looks worthy of a top 15 pick. So I'm going to go ahead and give him to the Chargers here. Number 14, we have the Minnesota Vikings. I don't think they're going to go interior offensive line here. Just doesn't make much sense. The value doesn't make sense, I should say. Could they take interior defensive line? This could be a Jay Tufele spot. Where is it at? There it is. They have Jay Tufele all the way at number 31 here. I think I have him at number 21. So this would be a bit of a reach. I've also been told Davion Nixon is a guy that I need to look at. Is there anybody else that I just love here? I don't think they invest another first-round pick into a wide receiver. It could be nice getting another cornerback, though. I know they just invested a first-round pick last year in one of those. You know what? Let's fix up that secondary. Let's give him J.C. Horn. Really, really physical man corner. He knows how to stay in the hip pocket of a receiver. His technique and his athleticism. I'm a really, really big J.C. Horn fan. Here at number 15, the New England Patriots. I'm not even going to think too hard about this one. Kyle Pitts is a top 4 player on my board. Really, really talented guy. I know he's listed at tight end, but he's really not. He's a oversized wide receiver. He splits out wide for the Florida Gators. He runs out of the slot. He goes in line. People say he's not a good blocker. I think he's better than people give him credit for, and I think he can develop in that area. He's not a significantly small guy, but yeah, I really like the Kyle Pitts fit here for the New England Patriots, assuming there is no quarterback available. Number 16, Arizona Cardinals. No quarterbacks on the board that I love at this spot. Number 16. Do they take Jalen Waddle here? That'd be interesting. That would make that offense pretty insane. I don't know if I love it, though. Jalen Mayfield has been a really, really solid tackle for Michigan. 6'5", 319. Might be able to move into guard. I don't know. I kind of just want to give him Jalen Waddle. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Oh, that offense would be insane. Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, Jalen Waddle. Oh my gosh. Who's stopping that? that would be a crazy, crazy addition. But I mean, at 16 here, it's good value. So we're going to move on to number 17, the Las Vegas Raiders. They do need an edge rusher, but I don't love Joseph Osai here at 17. He would also be my next highest rated edge rusher. Don't want to give them interior offensive line at this position. The value really isn't there. So I think we're going to give him Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Kind of a safety linebacker hybrid guy. Really, really good cover linebacker. Really plus athlete. I like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah a lot. Now number 18. I know the Dolphins were hoping that Jalen Waddle fell to them at 18. That would just be perfect. But it's not going to happen. Elijah Vera Tucker, they have him listed at interior offensive line here. I believe he played tackle at USC. Has that versatility. But I think we're going to go ahead and give them... Yeah, I think we're going to give him Elijah Vera Tucker. Really, really solid offensive lineman there. They need more guys. That they really just need to throw more bodies at the positions until they find guys that work. And adding somebody as talented as Elijah Vera Tucker, who is not as big of a work in progress as Austin Jackson was last year, who they took in the first round, makes a lot of sense here to me. Number 19, the Washington football team, who just made the playoffs last night. Could take a quarterback for the future if one fell to them, but there's really nobody here that I love at this spot. I'm more of a Kyle Trask fan than a Mac Jones fan, but don't believe either of those are going to go in the first round. They could go ahead and get Rashawn Slater here. That'd be a big pickup for them. They need somebody over on the left side. And I think I just talked myself into it. Yeah, Rashawn Slater here to the Washington football team. If it'll... Hello? Thank you. All right. The Chicago Bears, they also need a tackle. I can see a lot of tackles going here in the first round. It's not as top-heavy as this draft class is not as top-heavy as the tackled class last year, but there's a lot of depth. Be interesting here. But they're not, and I can't see a scenario where they re-sign Allen Robinson or where he wants to re-sign. So I think grabbing Rashad Bateman here would be a pretty solid pickup for them. Darnell Mooney has emerged as a pretty good deep threat, but having a true route runner, a guy that can go up and get some contested catches like Rashad Bateman, really solid player. Jacksonville Jaguars now here at number 21. Tight end, they could go Pat Freiermuth out of Penn State. Is a really solid player, really all-around type of tight end, but I don't like the value there. There's been a run of offensive tackles, so there aren't many left that I would consider taking in the first round. So I think grabbing Jalen Mayfield, probably the only remaining first-round lock tackle, makes a lot of sense for them. Number 22, the Indianapolis Colts. Ooh, sorry about that. This is an interesting one. They could look at a tackle to be the eventual replacement for Anthony Costanzo, who has been a really solid left tackle for them for a while. But I don't love the value here. I think taking a linebacker makes some sense, but I think they're probably going to go Eric Stokes here. Another really solid cornerback coming from Georgia. I think he's a lot better than, oh boy, what's his name? Tyson Campbell. Tyson Campbell was hyped up a lot earlier coming into this draft season, but Eric Stokes, in my opinion, is the much better prospect. Number 23 here, the Cleveland Browns. Joseph Ossai really isn't a scheme fit. I don't love him. I like Joseph Ossai more as a 3-4 outside backer. I think linebacker here makes a lot of sense, actually. Xavier Collins, he's kind of a do-it-all linebacker. But I think I'm going to give them Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton, really solid player for Missouri. I know he's a little bit undersized for a Mike, but he plays so hard. He's so athletic, and he plays like his hair's on fire, man. He's just all over the field, sideline to sideline. Really, really good player. Number 24, I have the Tennessee Titans here. Now, this is a spot for Joseph Ossai, if I've ever seen one. Joseph Ossai, like I said, really like him in a 3-4 scheme. Pair him with Harold Landry there on the opposite side. The Titans have been looking for an answer to play across from Harold Landry. They tried to get that with Jadeveon Clowney this year, and just like I predicted, Jadeveon Clowney is not an elite pass rusher. He is an elite run stuffer and an all-right pass rusher. So I think Joseph Ossai can be a pretty similar player, or at least fill a similar role to what Jadeveon Clowney did this year for them. Now, number 25, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're probably pretty sad that Joseph Ossai just went off the board, but I don't think that's where they go regardless. I think this is probably where Jay Tufele comes off the board. Jay Tufele, solid pass rusher, and pairing him with Vita Vea would just be destructive for opposing offenses. Now, number 26, we have the Baltimore Ravens. There's not a wide receiver that I love in this position. There's not an edge rusher I love in this position. I don't think there's any safeties in this class worth taking in the first round. I think this could be where we see an interior offensive lineman go right here at the end of the first. Wyatt Davis is an absolute blue chip player. He's ranked at 36 here just for the value, but in my opinion, Wyatt Davis is easily a top 20 player in this draft. Plugging him there in the spot that Marshall Yanda used to hold makes a lot of sense. They really miss him on that offensive line. So adding Wyatt Davis, huge boost to that already potent offense. Number 27, we have the New York Jets. Again, not a wide receiver that I love here. but there are a couple corners that I think could play a big role for this Jets offense. Shaun Wade and Asante Samuel Jr. are both probably going to be relegated to the slot because of their size. Shaun Wade, 6'1", buck 94. He's actually a bit bigger than I thought, but he has done his best work in the slot there at Ohio State. Hasn't been spectacular when asked to play on the outside. Not that I don't think he can. I think he still can, but his best work has definitely been in the slot. Asante Samuel, on the other hand, I believe is a buck 85, buck 84, 5'10". Probably going to have to stick in the slot, but he is a very, very talented cornerback. Plays with great technique, insane athleticism. Of course, the son of the legendary Asante Samuel. I'm going to go ahead and give him to the Jets here at number 27. Number 28, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, if any of these fringe quarterbacks could make it in the top, into the first round, I think this would be the spot to do it. I just don't see it happening. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers would rather beef up the offensive line and go ahead and go Liam Eichenberg here. Number 29, we have the New Orleans Saints. This could be a spot for Zaven Collins, a really versatile player, a guy I know that Sean Payton would love to just play all over the field. Is there anybody else that I'd rather take here? I don't think so. I'm not going to overthink it. We're going to go ahead and give them Zaven Collins here. Number 30, we have the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills, if you watched my last podcast, I think they are the team that is most likely to take the Lombardi Trophy home this year. They're just probably the hottest team in the NFL right now. Josh Allen, I'm totally sold on him as a top 10 quarterback. I'm very happy to say that I was wrong about Josh Allen in my pre-draft evaluation. But I think more importantly, on the defense, they need to find somebody that can play alongside Tre'Davious White. And I think that's going to be Shaun Wade. Like I said earlier, I know he's more of a slot corner, but I'm a really, really big fan of what Shaun Wade is able to do in the slot. And if he needs to flex outside, he has experience doing that too. We're going to go ahead and give the Bills here Shaun Wade. Number 31, we have the Green Bay Packers. If the board had fallen differently, I would probably give them a wide receiver here. I don't love Terrace Marshall or Kadarius Toney here in the first round. Are there any other guys that I'm big on that I haven't talked about? Not really. This is kind of a tough one. I think going Sam Cosmi here makes quite a bit of sense. They definitely need somebody to fill the gap that Brian Bulaga did a couple years ago. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense here. I'm going to go Sam Cosmi for the Green Bay Packers. Now at number 32, the Kansas City Chiefs. This is, of course, assuming they win the Super Bowl. Could go wide receiver. Sammy Watkins is obviously a free agent. I think getting Terrace Marshall, a wide receiver with some size, could make some sense here. I almost feel like they would rather go with the offensive line, though. Creed Humphrey is an absolute stud at that center position, and actually makes a lot of sense here. If Creed Humphrey's still on the board, I'm going to go ahead and get more protection for my franchise star quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. Well, that's going to be the draft. This actually went pretty smooth. There were no spots where I absolutely hated the pick or anything like that. I think this is actually pretty similar to how the draft could go. I like a lot of the picks here, especially in the early parts and later parts of the draft. But anyway, that's going to be it today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like if you liked and subscribe if you're new. Your support is always greatly appreciated. If you have any suggestions for topics you want me to cover in my next podcast, be sure to let me know. I read through all my comments. It's It's really fun interacting with you guys. But yeah, that's going to be it for me today, guys. Have a good one.